Just a couple of guys, a couple microphones, and a heck of a lot of know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, and of course, alongside me, Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Nodos? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know Show. We are ready to go, and man, oh man, I know we are getting closer and closer to the end of this season, finally, as we approach the mid-season portion here, and we still have a lot of questions. Like, there is a lot to talk about right now. And we have a new weather report for you guys for the Northeast coming on later in the show that we're going to get down to.
Nice.
Also, listen, if you're new to the show, if you're just tuning in, do us a huge favor for us. Help us grow this football know-it-all army that we got going on here by heading over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell to let you guys know when we go live. And, of course, share, comment, let us know you're even here, say hi, give your opinion. Listen, this whole point of this show is to be interactive. We can change the course of the show if we want on a dime. That's what we do. But other than that, you can also follow us or take us along for the ride anywhere you get your podcast as well. And Jim, let's get right into this thing. We got some big news right now out of Cleveland.
Yeah, absolutely. Cleveland now, just when you thought they were going to really compete for this division here with the Baltimore Ravens, coming out, it looks like Deshaun Watson, we were going to get the Deshaun Watson of old, possibly.
Starting to get
flashes
better.
Of it.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, it comes out here that he's going to miss the remainder of the season, and he will undergo surgery on his right shoulder, found an issue there.
Geez, total bummer.
There you go. Just when you thought you could get going, shot right back down. And poor Cleveland Browns once again.
And the more amazing thing is the fact that he's been playing with this broken bone in his shoulder. Mm-hmm. Like, they didn't even discover it until they did an x-ray recently and like, oh, shit. You can't play no more. Mm-hmm. We missed this one. Great job, team doctors. Shouldn't you have checked that beforehand? But that's the craziest thing about this is that he was playing hurt, but played pretty well, actually, when he was getting the chance to get on the field. And now that they've discovered this new injury, they're going to shut him down. He's out for the season. Now I question, like, a lot of the Browns fans out there. I question a lot of the major media and everything saying how bad Deshaun Watson was for Cleveland, how they should get out from underneath the deal somehow, move on from Watson, all these naysayers now. Now you're going to get to really see how your offense runs without him. Now you're going to get to see, we've heard that they've announced that officially that none other than DTR, the rookie himself at quarterback, is going to get the nod for the starting job. And
oh no,
we've seen
again.
we've seen 1 week where he started. It looked pretty bad, a lot of turnovers. I expect much of the same.
All right. We've got our first comment in the house with us tonight.
What's going on? We got our boy Ryan Graham in the house right now. What's going on, Ryan? Welcome to the show, bro. He said, is Crosby a valid choice for Defensive Player of the Year? Yes, absolutely. You look at his stats, like he's even leading some of the categories right now as a pass rusher, beating out everybody you can imagine. Like, he has the most pressures of any defensive player. Like, he wreaks havoc. He affects a game a lot more than most pass rushers out there. Like, there's these big names, Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, you know what I mean? Like, guys like that yes, they're great players. Absolutely great players. I would love them on my team, but they're not there. So, but Max Crosby is one of these dudes that, even if he's not making the play, not getting the sack, he's affecting the backfield. He's pressuring. He's making people account for him more than not. Like, I've seen him being double-teamed and triple-teamed up to this point in the season where it's almost laughable on how much attention he gets. So, yeah, 100% he's deserving of being talked about as Defensive Player of the Year for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's on the fence. I mean, but yeah, I think so. I mean, like you said, it's he's on there. He's been able to get 9.5 sacks here.
Yep.
But again, the forced fumbles, fumble recoveries, and then the hits. Pressure. So he's there. It's just how much they're going to take a peek at him because a lot of times for some reason too the Raiders they get overlooked on a lot of these different things. They'd be quietly making these plays or getting it done. How much will they be recognized by the so-called experts out there for what it is, and the fact that they're like a losing team right now. So maybe if they do happen to make a pushback here with, Aaron Pierce as their leader here, maybe it could be a good part for them to move forward here, or Antonio Pierce rather. Antonio Pierce. Maybe they can move forward here and get a winning team going, and then maybe people will actually start to take notice.
I mean, I don't think that would be any kind of. I know what you're saying about the Raiders kind of being overshadowed at times, but I don't think it has anything to do with record. Like if you have a dominating player on your team, they're going to get recognized. You can already see it. Like everybody, even mass media right now, is talking about how Max Crosby is almost like undeniable. Like right now, he's like a landslide win for Defensive Player of the Year. But we still have a lot more year to play. A lot of things can change. So. But, yeah, he's definitely in the running for sure. We also got Eric Bowers in the show here. What's going on, Eric? Welcome to the show. He goes, I thought P.J. Walker was the backup in Cleveland. Yes, you would be correct, sir. He is the backup. However, the Cleveland Browns brass has other intentions. Do they want to really see what DTR can do for them? Dorian Thompson Robinson, if you don't already know, now you do. Rookie quarterback. And we saw one game where he started, and it looked pretty bad. I mean, I don't understand the philosophy behind these decisions, but to throw him out in the wolves the first time he started, turned over the ball a lot, threw a lot of interceptions, and now instead of going with P.J. Walker, who right now, since Watson's going to be shut down, that's your best option to stay in games and be and basically just not give up on the season. That's what it feels like to me, Jim, is that by making this decision, you're basically saying, well, P.J. Walker should be out there, but I really want to see this rookie play. So let's put him out there. And you have a stellar defense right now. You have a team that was put together to make a run this year with Deshaun Watson, but now he's gone. So your decision as an organization now is to say, P.J. Walker, you've done a fantastic job, bro. You've kept us in games. It's been amazing, but we're going to go in a different direction. We're going to put the rookie in and see what he can do. Okay.
Yeah, I know, but I kind of see maybe what they're looking at is the fact that P.J. Walker, you already kind of know what P.J. Walker is, right? And even if you have P.J. Walker in, you're still probably going to run the ball more. You're going to use Ford. You're going to use Hunt and try and run the ball, keep it safe, and try and limit those turnovers. Right now, P.J. Walker still has more turnovers and interceptions than he has touchdowns. So I think the way they're looking at it is perhaps you put DTR in and you say, yes, he has more interceptions and turnovers right now, but you're not sure. So they probably want to figure out what he's going to get and still try and effectively run the ball with Ford and Hunt to try and be that's going to be their game plan.
And the thing, you're right, with P.J. Walker, a lot of turnovers and everything, but with him as a starter, they find a way to win some games. So when you put in a rookie, now when you play a defense isn't scared of the rookie. Defense is going to come after the rookie. They're going to play aggressive. They are definitely going to key on that run game to try to stop it, and if they can, all that pressure shifts over to the rookie quarterback, and we've already seen in one game that he's not ready just yet. He's definitely a developing quarterback. I just think they're rushing it way too soon with him.
Yeah, I mean, I get that too. On either side of it. So I mean, I could see it from both points of view.
We got more comments in here.
What do we got?
We got Ryan Graham once chimes in and says another question: who you guys have winning the AFC South with the Texans up and coming, or still the Jags, or even maybe the Colts? So Ryan's asking us who he thinks is going to win that division as of right now in the season. Still got a lot of games to play for sure, but I'm telling you right now, I'm actually, and how could you not be surprised by like how much better the Texans are right now? Like they really do have a shot to probably get down into the end of the season and maybe have a chance to take over that division. And the Jags, they faced some tough teams recently. So yeah, they slipped down the slope a little bit, but I still feel like right now you can't necessarily pick any team other than the Jags. They were expected to come in and win that division, and as of right now, because there's still a lot of games playing, I'm still going to stick with the Jaguars to win that at the end. But Texans, you're right. They're an up-and-coming team. We talked about it in the offseason about how this team, if C.J. Stroud pans out, that they could be a team to watch. They could be a dark horse, and they're proving us right again.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with what you're saying too as well. The Jaguars is pretty much their division to ruin at this point. But I do like what what Tennessee's trying to do here with Will Levis to see how he can progress, and the Houston Texans. Yeah, it's been a great story for them. I think they're great from top to bottom moving forward. They have been able to capitalize on mistakes though, because if Higgins makes the catch there in the end zone, which is wide open. I mean, we're not even talking about even this. Well, we're saying how great they've been, but they don't win that game. You know what I mean? That's a touchdown that seals the deal for Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, and they don't have the opportunity to come back and get that and steal the victory. So
yeah, true,
but that's the way it
happen.
happens. But it didn't happen. Yeah, I get that or whatever. But come on. I mean, it's just certain circumstances. So they've had that for 2 weeks straight, where it's just had the luck of the draw in this one and been able to do it. But, good teams are able to put themselves in that position, though.
Right, and that's the thing, is Houston Texans have been able to overcome any of those problems and comeback wins. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not like the game was given to them because of a mistake made by the opposing team, and that's why they won. They have literally had to drive down in seconds to get this game, and I think the Texans are not only playing great defensively, but they're also their offense, because of Stroud, because of the quick development that they have on that side of the ball, they're balling out. Like they are playing as a complete team, and it's showing on the football field. Eric Bowers also said that Walker should be starting. He agrees. He said bad move by Cleveland. Eric Bowers also says, I think Houston might take that division. It's possible, man. Anything's possible here. And then he said, even though C.J. Stroud is a former Buckeye, he has shown that he can play in the NFL because historically Ohio State quarterbacks haven't panned out well in the NFL. Yes, that's absolutely true. But there's always going to be those game changers. There's always going to be those players that statistically from a college, that position doesn't do well in the NFL. But then there's those rare occurrences where guy just outshines everybody. And Eric Bowers goes, hashtag Michigan versus everybody. He's putting
absolutely nice. I like that. Absolutely. There you go. Michigan versus everybody. I like how they've even taken that upon themselves to be that, because everybody is kind of after them after the whole scandal and things that are going down. Yeah. Automatically just wanting to get rid of them, putting guilt on them. And I like how they're using it as inspiration, to keep moving forward without Coach Harbaugh. One thing I did notice, though, Joe, maybe you guys, what do you guys think about this? When I watched the Michigan game, it was close for a little bit, but then I did notice, because I haven't watched a lot of college games. I watch them on occasion or just, highlights when I go to do, evaluations of some players before the draft. But why haven't the NFL considered putting the referee cams on? You know what I mean? Like the umpire line judge cam and stuff like that on the referees. So then they could evaluate that maybe footage for a replay and stuff like that, because they get a different bird's eye view. And actually, when you see them make a call, sometimes you actually get maybe their body cam footage of what they're kind of looking at.
Yeah, but they're not going to do that. Like the referees, they're expected to be looking at the play and make the call. Like you just having a camera strapped to your chest, it's going to have the same kind of vision as them looking at the play. And I think with all the camera angles that they have right now with in the NFL and in college, that there's no reason you can't just review the replay and get the same kind of visual. Mm-hmm. So, and also, like, I don't know, having a camera strapped to each referee, I don't think it would work out well with them.
Why? I mean, the college guys do it.
Who? What do you mean?
The college referees have it.
Have what?
Body cams.
on their caps. I've seen the cameras in the caps before, but not body cams like strapped to them.
Yeah, they've had them there so you could see what they're seeing. Like I said, there's their point of view. I think that's an interesting point of view, especially at the goal line, because you're looking down and you kind of see over top what you're looking at.
They don't want you to see them look away.
Yeah, maybe. Because every single time they're like.
Depends on where they're looking.
Touchdown. Like, what?
I mean, I got to say, like, there's a lot of times when I can
like when there's a penalty and they don't have a flag anymore, they throw their hat. There it goes.
I can definitely see that, there's going to be times when, like, maybe they're not looking at what they're supposed to be looking at.
I don't know. I thought it was an interesting thing, though, so I thought it would be pretty neat to see that possibly. Or
I just don't think it'll ever be used for instant replay because you already have that visual as it is. It might be cool, like, to see how the referee is viewing the field and stuff, but I don't think it would ever be like anything different than what you already get for instant replay. What else we got? Ryan Graham also chimes in and says, thoughts on the Broncos? Well, our thoughts on the Broncos is they're playing good football lately. They're doing the necessary things to win games. Now they're not doing it in glorious ways. They're mostly on the backs of the defense, but let's just say, Russell Wilson, as bad of a season as it's been for Russell Wilson, there's these brief moments in the past couple of weeks where he's shown some signs of life as a quarterback with the Broncos and doing basically the bare minimum to get the points they need to win games. So, what do I think about them? I think that they're still in the same spot that they've always been. They're always going to be, right now anyways, they're just stuck in a rut still. Like, okay, they won a couple of they had a couple of big wins. Okay, that's great for them. But I don't think they're going to turn around the season all of a sudden and be this, like, major factor. I think that there's some things to work with there, and we already know that. I think going forward, like it's just going to be one of those things where like you're gonna see a turnover rate next offseason because they don't like some of the players that they have on the roster.
Yeah, and I think they've been also kind of been able to capitalize on some issues too. Going along. Yes, they beat the Chiefs, but you know what? It was during a game where Patrick Mahomes had the flu and he was kind of trying to play through it or whatever.
Doesn't mean anything.
And well, it does if you can't play through when you're sick, dude. When you got the fucking flu, you
wouldn't
ain't
be
gonna
playing
feel that good
then.
to play. He's gonna try either way.
You wouldn't be playing if it's going to affect the
whatever.
team.
Anyways,
and
the Bills, and the way the Bills played, they kind of fed right into the hand of the Broncos too. Yes, they made some good defensive plays, but the interceptions that Josh Allen was throwing, even Peyton Manning said on his cast, like you're not supposed to throw those type of throws. It's any quarterback, any easily NFL quarterback knows that you should not be doing that stuff. You know what I mean? And what you did. And even the play call, and maybe that's why Ken Dorsey doesn't have a job anymore. Corner routes you're calling right there in the middle of the field, and it made no sense. And he throws it anyways. So, opportunistic on a lot of these times. Yes, they did enough to hang in the game and stuff like that. Almost lost it all. But we're able to just be able to pull it out here.
How about that from a penalty on the field goal?
Oh, dude. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. I mean, what do you think about even the pass interference? Like, I looked at it, and I'm like, yes, he kind of ran into it, but he did turn around for the ball. It was short, so he did bump, but I would have said that's iffy. I mean, I don't know if I would have called pass interference on that play.
So for pass interference
before the field goal,
it goes a couple different ways. One is if you affect the receiver from being able to catch the ball, where you forcefully move him, and then the other one is if you're not playing the ball.
Yeah. Which
it's very clear cut. So if you're doing one of those things where you're impeding his opportunity to catch the ball, and on top of that, or either one where you're just not playing the ball, you're playing the receiver, then it's pass interference.
Right.
I mean,
which on that it was iffy because he did turn his head to play the ball, and he did bump the guy just a little prematurely, but it wasn't.
Yeah,
like it was anybody's ball still. I think so it was just tough. But as far as the field goal thing though too, even if they're trying to make a quick change because they're trying to line up to do that field goal.
It wasn't a quick change.
Well, that's what I mean. But
that's the crazy thing.
Well, yeah, they had to because that's what I mean. They had no more timeouts. So once they ran that play, they had to all run to the line and they had to change their personnel to get the field goal kicking line up. So how on Buffalo, and if you're on defense, do you not just like, all right, just if you got to make a guy in or whatever, swap him out quick. I mean,
The funny thing
get
is,
the same amount of people. Why would you line up with 12 guys still? Just say, screw it.
well, that's the funny thing is that everybody has a responsibility for special teams. Everybody knows who's supposed to be out there and
Yeah.
who isn't.
Yeah.
So for that extra player to run on the football field and then sit there and nobody,
It's like, yo, get-
nobody
or
across
what?
the way, like there's always one designated player that is supposed to, like a linebacker, like he stands back and he starts counting how many people are on the field and himself. The guy who's supposed to count didn't do his job.
Yeah.
It's that
Yeah.
that's simple. Like you going into that, knowing how critical that was, that field goal, you got to make sure that one dude gets off. You got to make sure that you're counting, and then you kind of make an adjustment very quickly, as quick as you can. But for everything to happen the way it did, they all line up. Someone had to not count. Like, they just lined up. It's really what it was. And then because of that, you had one extra guy in there, and you gave the Broncos a extra chance. They missed the first field goal. That's what you wanted to happen. And then you're like, no, go ahead, try it again. Try it again. We know you didn't mean that one. Like, you literally just gave them another opportunity, and that's how they win. Unreal.
All right, we got a couple new comments, Joe.
Yeah, we go. Eric Bowers chimes in. He says, all the New York teams are a disaster right now. That is a good statement, and we'll get to that soon. Mike Tackett's coming in the house here. He says, remember in the early 2000s, the NFL Europe. Yes, I remember NFL Europe. And NFL preseason experimented with micro cameras on the front helmet bumper. I really don't remember that myself.
Yes.
I don't remember that.
Yep. Helmet cam.
Oh,
Early
the helmet
2000s,
cam.
right? Remember helmet cam? Wasn't even around 2000 because I remember Madden like 2007 maybe had it because we even talked about that. I think during the Madden things
did that
and
over
he's
in
saying
Europe,
they
yeah.
did it also too. But I mean, they really wanted that first person
Visual.
view. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
That's how you get sick,
though.
though.
Yeah.
When these guys start running around, they're like
Yeah,
bouncing around.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Like,
right?
make it stop.
It's all wear GoPros.
Make
yeah.
it stop.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just something I was thinking about before. But what else we got? Anything else? I
That's
thought
it.
there was another. Who's a disaster right now? New York teams are disasters. That's what Eric said, right? Well, without further ado, why don't we get to that then, Joe?
All right.
All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the ice cold front, the cold front here
Yeah,
in
cold
the
front.
Northeast,
Yeah,
man.
and
It
it's
is
coming in
chilly out
crazy
here.
fast.
Not only weather-wise, it is starting to get colder, but look at these teams right here. All the teams in the Northeast right now for us around here, they're just terrible. They are freezing cold. Giants, we know what the deal is here. Let's just roll with them, I guess. Quick first, Joe.
with this weather front coming through in the Northeast, it's not only is all these teams very cold, they're also numb, just like the fans are at this
The
point.
fans-
And then
We gotta be
every
numb
week
at
it
this
seems
point.
like there's like a partial little piece of optimism. Everybody has, maybe this is the week that we can fix things. Maybe this is the week that maybe we could get a W. Would be nice, but they are always let down. So this weather pattern of ours for the Northeast, it's looking pretty grim.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, the New York Giants, we already knew what we've been looking at though this season so far.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones, in and out, injured, not really given a shot here. The offensive line sucks, and plus injuries on top of it. Saquon back a little bit too, but now you don't even have really an offensive line. No quarterback that anybody would be afraid of, so they're teeing up on you. Defense was keeping you in games, but now it seems like they just
can't.
shut the door. They just
They
quit.
can't.
So now it's even so much we're hearing stuff come out of the locker room even too, so where even players are just tired of losing right now. So what do? Trying to look for excuses or try and put it on somebody else too.
Yeah.
Things have come out even about Brian Dable and the organization. And they're in turmoil right now. So much so that even now the media, which they were in love with Brian Dable, isn't it funny how it goes from
How quickly they turn.
How quick it's like, oh, we love this guy. Here he goes. And how smart he is over there in Buffalo, and he helped Josh Allen. He's the guru. And now he's what the Giants need. And now one season later, that they suck and everything, they're ready to kind of push him out the door, Joe. They're like, hey, is Dable it? They're going to push him out now. It's like, how is he going to make it this year? Do they fire him after this year? So a lot of the stuff coming out in New York in the Giants here, and they've turned their backs even on Brian Daboll here, Joe.
Yeah, and it's kind of laughable. Like all these overreactions. Like, oh, we're not winning anymore, so this year we suck. It's got to be Daboll. We got to get rid of him. We need everything new, everything changed over, and hit the panic button. Right? That's the answer to every problem is hit the panic button. But here's the thing. Daboll is a good coach. We've seen last season. Does everybody forget the accomplishment the Giants made last season with way less talent, a worse offensive line, no receivers? Like the defense was good, but it wasn't, it wasn't really like the backbone of the team, but they were able to pull off big time wins last year with, guess who? Daboll. So I think people are getting really harsh. I know that the expectations were extremely high coming into this season. Like, well, if we did that then, and now we have a better team now, we should do even great and better, So we're just not seeing that. We're not seeing them meet the expectations that a lot of people had for the Giants this season, and even myself included. I had higher expectations than last year for them. I thought they were going to make an impact in this division. But hey, that's why we play games. That's why we every single week there's X's and O's going in against different teams. So I have to say that, like, for the Giants, yes, it's a very, very disappointing year, and everybody knows that. But the thing is with Daniel Jones missing a lot of time this year and that offensive line not being completely healthy, early on, obviously they were there, and then you started to notice pieces leaving almost every week. Now they're a very battered O-line. They don't have their starting quarterback in Daniel Jones, and say what you want about the guy, but he did give them a better chance to win games.
Better chance than what we got right now.
Yeah.
Nobody expected a guy like Tommy DeVito do anything for
of
these
course
guys
not.
either. So.
Tommy DeVito still lives with his parents, so it's like I question, him as a man and how it shows and reflects on the football field. You got to wonder that's how the household is. With Tommy DeVito, listen, he's doing what he can. He's kind of thrown into the fire, whatever. But this is a team that still needs a lot of help, and it's glaring. Believe me, Brian Daboll understands that. He knows that, and they're just kind of working with what they got right now. This offseason, they're going to make more changes, and obviously there's always that debate. Do they stay with Daniel Jones? Do they draft another quarterback? Like, that whole thing is circulating now because they're like, oh, well, he's not usually on the football field, and when he does, sometimes he makes mistakes. Is he holding us back? And this, that, and the other thing. The bottom line is that we thought the Giants were going to make bigger steps this season than they did. And even though it's disappointing, there's going to be more changes following this next offseason.
Right. Yeah. And teams that really recognize a problem, first of all, and don't want to just say whatever, we're not ever going to admit we were wrong with anything, don't do anything, just write it out, aren't exactly winning teams as well. We've looked at this offense. We've looked at Mike Kafka, and we said, why isn't even a change starting there? People are already jumping past this and going to say, Daboll's got to be the problem. Well, be careful what you ask for, too, because last season before, and we had the Joe Shane, project, strict, blah, 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 do it my way, the highway, do it the Patriots way, hard practices here and there, you got to lighten up. Well, you got a guy that lightened up, a guy that, would say, hey, listen, I'm going to show you the ways, stuff like that, but it's on you to do your job and work at your craft and perform out there on the field. I'm not going to baby you all the way through, so I'm going to go give you your space. I'm going to give you the tools that you need, but you need to go and take what I given you and go out and perform. And now, they're losing. They're kind of falling back on that whole thing. Now they're looking at him like, he told me, he just said, what the fuck was I doing? Why? I don't get that. Well, because you were supposed to be doing it. You should know better than this, and you're making these dumb mistakes. So the fact that it's all coming on Daboll here, I think, again, first move, get rid of Kafka, and just see if that shakes something up to move it along here to see what happens. But like you said, next season, we'll find out. We're going to go through this change here and see what they do.
And
with
we'll
it.
definitely find out if your offensive coordinator still has a job in the
Yeah.
offseason, because maybe that's what it is that they're just waiting to the end of the season because Daboll in the offensive coordinator and the quarterback's coach, they all get together every single week to game plan for the offense. And Daboll puts, obviously he's the guy that end all be all, so he's going to make those decisions. And they game plan every single week. So for their offense, maybe Daboll's starting to realize that he's like, man, this guy's not calling the game like I want him to call the game. So unfortunately, we're just because we're not in the running right now, and because we can afford to just kind of wait it out to the offseason because we know we're not making the playoffs, that we'll just let him work the rest of the season, and then we'll can him at the end of the year, and then we'll go and find our new OC. Maybe that's their thinking. So we'll find out if in fact that is what they're going to plan on doing.
Absolutely. All right, Joe, we talked about maybe a team that just is moving on from an offensive coordinator as well. And Ken Dorsey just got fired here from the Buffalo Bills after,
Yes.
That performance, the other night. And the Bills, you're on a losing streak here, and a team that, for the last couple of seasons has been there, kind of built to win.
Right.
You've got the personnel.
Yeah.
We've even seen Shakir, the wide receiver, come up as another guy here for
Right.
Josh Allen as a
Yeah.
weapon.
Yeah.
But we've seen Josh Allen be that guy to where he's got arm talent. He's got that connection with Stephon Diggs and his guys here too. Really good guy as well. But still, the turnovers are leering, and becoming a really big thing of who he is. And the one thing for me, I think that is always troublesome here, and the funny thing with announcers, media again as well, where you try and term a guy as a gunslinger. Right now, I think gunslinger is just a lazy term for reckless. He is reckless. That's what he is. But you want to bring it into a term to, well, he's a gunslinger. He has confidence that he can make that throw anyways, and he just does it. Sometimes he doesn't win on it. That's called being reckless. Everybody has confidence out there and thinking their ability is enough to get it done. When you do those bonehead moves or you throw those things, you're obviously not learning from your mistakes, and you're just going through it anyways. You're being pigheaded about it all and trying to do something that just isn't there. And he's at his point in his career right now. He should not be making that mistake, whether Dorsey's there or Brian Daboll's there. Josh Allen should know, especially if you're looking upon him as one of those upper echelon quarterbacks in this league, and you're a leader on this team to bring you somewhere to get to the Super Bowl. Making the plays that he was, or mistakes that he was doing, especially in this past game, is unacceptable. And the fact, I think you brought it up to me earlier on, but I'm sure you'll bring it up real quick, is the fact that they're throwing a lot more too. And I think the way to get it done is to really run the ball effectively like they were in that past game, and have Josh Allen just do his thing and let him run a little more, Joe.
Yeah, and that's really the thing, is what I've noticed that's different about the Bills' offense this year is that Josh Allen, we were all like, obviously we're hyped, like he's on the Madden cover, like this guy's going to be great. This Bills team is going to be very tough to beat this year. But we're not seeing the same team, for one, and two, Josh Allen's a very different quarterback this year. We even, like, you even watched it happen like last game, where it seemed like Josh Allen is going out of his way to not be that mobile threat like he was before. Like it's almost like he's avoiding, running out of the pocket, running down the football field, taking those hits, a lot of them unnecessarily, and. For Josh Allen, and maybe he was talked to from the offensive staff and said, hey, listen, dude, you need to preserve your body for down the roads. We need you on the football field. So we want you to stop running as much as you do. And now it's sunk in his head so much that it affects his gameplay week to week, where he's like, all right, well, I'm dropping back. I'm looking for someone. No one's available. I still got to wait. They don't want me to run. You know what I mean? And then it's almost psychologically breaking that guy down in his performance to the point where, like, he's airmailing a lot of these balls. He's missing open targets that he normally last year would have hit. And then also with all that is his mobility gives him rhythm as a quarterback. When they start having these drives, whether he's running the ball, handing it off, threatening to run and then slinging it down the field, that's all rhythm for him. And when he doesn't have that rhythm and he's like trying to force footballs into different areas, like you mentioned, Jim, triple coverage, still trying to thread it in there for some reason, and it gets picked off, that, man, it makes you question, like, have they tried to dictate to the guy this season too much? And that's why it's affecting him on the football field. This is a very different Josh Allen than people were praising a year ago. He leads the league right now in turnovers. Mm-hmm. Now, that's not interceptions. It's overall turnovers. He's got 4 fumbles. He's got 11 interceptions in total right now. And he's leading the league with 15 total turnovers. So that right there is another big problem. And you got to wonder that what we just kind of spoke of him not being himself, him not taking off. If he sees an opening and he wants to take off on, that's fine. But, dude, stop taking unnecessary hits, slide, run out of bounds, do whatever you got to do. Still keep that hungry mentality of being able to run and threaten that aspect of your game. But at the same time, man, just be you. Stop trying to be a pocket quarterback, even though your offensive coordinator or whoever doesn't want you to take those hits all the time. But you still have to, because that's what makes you you. Mm-hmm. We've seen this before happen to players in recent history of the NFL, where quarterbacks would come out, mobile quarterbacks would come out, and that was a big part of their game, where they would run, they would implement the throws, and then all of a sudden, hey, we need you to change this year. We need you to be more of a pocket quarterback. Stop running around. We want you to stay healthy that way, and it affects them so much that it completely screws up everything. So I'm hoping that in order for the Bills to kind of get back on track, Josh Allen needs to return to that running threat that he has and he should use. You mentioned, Jim, about running the ball more. Well, we noticed that, James Cook ran the ball extremely well when he got the chance. Yep. And it's almost like you don't need to put everything on Josh Allen. You need to divvy up this. You need to allow the run game. If it's working, keep running it.
Yep.
Throw the ball out on the hashes. Give James Cook open space to work the ball too. Like, keep implementing those runs, and don't hold back Josh Allen going forward. Let him be himself. That's what's made him so impactful since coming into the league, is his availability to run on the, throw on the run, and make these kind of off-script throws and off-script plays to the point where it makes him so dangerous that now teams are not keen. I'm like, oh, well, we know he's not going to run anymore, so we can just play our normal defense, and it's going to affect him.
Yeah. I mean, it's not an easy road moving forward for them. I mean, they've got the Jets this week.
Yeah.
Then you've got the Eagles again. We've seen what type of team they are. They're tough. But right after that, the Chiefs. The Chiefs are still a competitive team in the AFC too, and to be able to try and make room to try and get into this playoffs here, which they're at 500 right now.
Yeah.
So they need to win a few of these games here, and they're all tough. You got the Chiefs, the Cowboys, which look really good right now too as well. Mm-hmm. The Chargers, the Patriots, which looks like an easy win here for them at this point, but you never know sometimes with the way these teams are. And the Dolphins to finish out the season. Yeah. So it's a tough road moving further, and so much so it looks bad. We heard about Stephon Diggs maybe being disgruntled with his team and maybe wants out. Mm-hmm. Well, his brother Trayvon doesn't make it any easier that he goes out on social media during the game and says, we got to get 14 up out of there. Mm-hmm. And, that's coming from the same spot. That's coming from the roots. So he knows something even too. So somebody is upset about it. He already sees his tenure there is probably failing and they're not going to get anywhere. So is there going to be a breakup after this season? We've heard the murmurs or the rumors even about that they were even considering or talking about maybe is Sean McDermott the guy anymore. And that's why I think you even see the first head to roll. Ken Dorsey's the first head to roll. And once you see a coordinator start to get fired, then you're on thin ice. We're talking about the icy cold Northeast. Woo. Well, I think there's thin ice there.
I mean, the coordinator is always usually that's like the scapegoat. Like, okay, offense isn't working well. Let's fire the offensive coordinator. And that kind of buys a little bit of time for the head coach because it depends on the situation. Like, okay, let's take Sean McDermott, right? He's the head coach. He's a defensive-minded coach. He wasn't brought in there to revamp the offense and make it stellar. Like he was brought in there to improve that defense, and he's done that. So his job overall is safe. He is a good head coach. He makes good decisions, makes the necessary adjustments, especially when it comes to the defense. But offensively, usually that's kind of left open to whoever the coordinator happens to be. Now, let's wait and see, now that they fired Dorsey, that the interim offensive coordinator comes in, gets an opportunity now to maybe kind of take that job full time. And let's see if there's any changes made relatively quickly here with Josh Allen, with the play calling, with the down and distance plays and all that.
Yeah. Speaking of that, well,
yeah,
we got
go ahead.
Greg Schneider's in the house with us tonight.
What's going on, Greg?
And he says, "What do you guys think about Joe Brady? And what do you think he could do for for Allen?" And he says, "Is he the answer at coordinator?"
I think he's had experience before in calling plays, and Joe Brady was well respected throughout the league as a good, bright offensive mind. So they are very lucky to have him on the staff, and I think he's going to fill in just fine. He's done this before. He's called plays with the Carolina Panthers, and that's kind of the job that he probably wanted with the Buffalo Bills. Not to be second rate, but now he gets his opportunity to lock it in, and I think that he's going to be good for the Bills. I think he's going to maybe sprinkle in some wrinkles in the offense and what have you. Maybe even he might encourage Josh Allen to maybe run once in a while and not be so hog-tied in the pocket as a pocket passer. So maybe we might see a few changes as early as this Sunday. But obviously I think that Joe Brady is going to be just fine. He's a coordinator. That's what he does. And for Josh Allen, I'd like to see him open up. Like you mentioned, Jim, it's time to open it up. And the one quick thing that I want to mention is that I looked at his stats throughout since he's been drafted in 2018, right?
Yeah.
And it's not like he's having a bad year. Everyone is pushing him as this Josh Allen is struggling. Yes, he's not playing up to what he was expected to the past 4 to 5 years. But his rookie year was only 10 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. Pretty bad, but expected, right? Mm-hmm. This year is his worst year so far in the NFL. So for him to have success in his sophomore year, and then he got even better with over 4,500 yards thrown in 2020. That's kind of when you saw the development with him, accuracy-wise, mechanics-wise, footwork-wise. And from that point on, was very successful until this year. So he's thrown for close to 4,500 yards or more. His touchdowns ran from 37, 36, 35 with only 10, 15, and 14 interceptions thrown in those respective years. And this year is really a bad year. He's not himself. And we've seen that on the football field. That's why maybe this new decision on moving on from Dorsey, here comes Joe Brady. Maybe he's going to work better with Josh Allen in terms of his utilizing his mobility as well as his throwing arm. And maybe we might see those numbers increase even more. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, I think that people are overreacting a little bit. Yes, is he missing players that he shouldn't? Correct. He is. And it could be a lot of things. Mm-hmm. We don't know. We're not in the locker room, but we're making our best case here that we think Josh Allen is still an above average quarterback. He's not elite by any means, but he definitely gives the Bills a really good chance to win games. So as long as he can kind of iron out those mistakes, and maybe that changes now with Joe Brady, give him a couple weeks to kind of really get comfortable. But all in all, I think they're going to be just fine.
Yeah, we'll see. But again, rough road here. It's tough because that AFC is a really tough conference here. So let's see if they can
a lot of tough teams.
Be one of those teams to make it in. It helps out when you got divisions like with the Houston Texans and everything on there. They keep battling. Now, if you look even at with the Baltimore Ravens, their division, that division's kind of tight too. So we've got potentially even a thing that maybe the Bengals don't even make the playoffs this year.
Holy
So
Santa Claus shit!
That. There you go. What
Jimmy,
do we got?
We have none other than OG know-it-all himself, John Turner, in the house. Ooh, what's going on,
the
Johnny?
burner John Turner's in the house. I love it.
Everybody bow down. John's here. Pocket pressure time is at the lowest in his career this year so far. Yeah, pocket pressure. Yeah,
Chad Times are the lowest in his career, so they ain't getting a lot of pressure there. So I mean, he's just making bad mistakes. Again, I think for some reason, again for him in close games, I think he puts it all on his shoulders and thinks he needs to pull out stuff and put it on him, and it gets in his own head. Because what do you see even when they lose? Oh, it's all my fault. I just got to play better. It's just this and that. Yeah, everybody does.
And your players
just said
respect
even
that.
before. Yeah, which is fine. But I think it messes him up throughout the game anyways. He gets frustrated. And you see some of the guys that perform better are the guys that even just brush it off and keep moving to the next down.
I think for
and let it go,
Josh,
so.
just like we kind of mentioned before, it is just that he needs to get out of his own head and he needs to just start playing like himself. Like, do not be afraid to run. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to even create time with your legs. Even if you just get out of the pocket and you kind of string it along to the sideline and then boom, you find Diggs over the middle or something like that. Like, we've seen him do that very well last year. Hopefully he returns to that this year. And I don't know, maybe Dorsey was a bad influence in Josh Allen in this season and more than anything. And maybe was trying to dictate him not to run. We'll wait and see. But if Josh Allen is himself, that's what makes him dangerous. Yeah. So as long as he returns and just stop taking unnecessary hits. Just stop taking unnecessary hits. Yep. That's really what it comes down to.
Yep.
Dude's the size of a linebacker.
Yeah.
So just stop taking them. Last longer. Greg chimed in. He goes, I hope Dayball comes back. Nice. I don't think that's going to happen, Greg, but nice try. Good try. He's egging on all the Giants fans like, yeah, go get after them.
Yeah, and you talk about turnovers too. The only person behind those turnovers is Josh Allen is Mac Jones. And this is what we're going to talk about right now is the Patriots and Mac Jones. We brushed on it a little bit earlier when we were talking about our first conversation, but he's been the factor with this Patriots team. They've been in it in a few of these games, even though, personnel, sometimes isn't there. They've had some injuries here and there, which we get. But he's been a big factor in big games when they have the opportunity to win. He's fallen up short. That last play where they had the easy touchdown. It's a blown coverage.
Yes.
And you're off your back foot and what the frick? What was that? We said he had a weak arm before, Joe, but this was the epitome of weak arm. Wasn't it?
He threw it like Jimmy G.
It was like, whew.
He threw it like Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, it's like when you're first playing catch with your kid and you're not expecting to go far, and then it goes even shorter, and you're stumbling to try and catch it. Yeah. This was just weak arm. Had him wide open in the end zone and couldn't get the ball there.
At least,
pathetic. It was embarrassing, and I've made I stick up for some guys, stuff like that, and I've done it even for Mac Jones to hear that. Then you, like you said, you get to a point where you just can't do it anymore, and he has been the guy that's really shot them in the foot during this time, and the fact that they had to make that change at the end of the game, this is why. Bill Belichick just couldn't take it anymore. We'll see what this other guy, Zapp, could do to get them back, maybe get a game-winning drive going. You didn't do it in that game. You were going to probably lose it anyways. It wasn't like Mac Jones was going to bring you back. So now going forward, you figure now he's got to be the starter.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots aren't going nowhere. Like that's more self-evident than anything. So, like, for them to, like, make that quarterback change, it makes all the sense. Like, you might as well just stick with that decision. Start Bailey Zappe going forward and see if Zappe can, maybe his development has gotten a little bit better. And maybe he could be at least stopgap type of quarterback in case you can't get the guy that you want high in the draft. Right now they're currently picking 4th overall, so they have a really good shot at taking someone that they want. But if they want like a guy like maybe Caleb Williams or something like super hyped right now, and if they really believe in him, then they're going to have to trade up. If not, they're going to have to settle for someone else. But again, this is kind of where we're at. Like, for Patriots fans, I know it's a very frustrating season, and they probably expected to be at least competitive this year. You know what I mean? To kind of be able to still be in the hunt.
They showed signs last year like they could possibly
wild
do
card.
something even, Joe. I mean, it wasn't like they were absolutely terrible and like, oh, here we go. Here's the dark ages of the Belichick era.
I mean, even last year, their offense was putrid. Like, it wasn't really very good. And we've come to the conclusion now, after seeing a lot of evidence with Mac Jones, that I don't think it's personnel. I mean,
Or
just
even
when
like
you
the
look-
offensive coordinator, when they tried to blame it, it was like, oh, Matt Patricia
Well,
wasn't able to do it even then. You
that
know
was
what I mean?
pretty
Because
bad,
that was
too.
part of it too. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, that was
but
pretty bad.
They look worse now even too.
They were even worse than this. But that's the thing when you have a defensive minded guy trying to call offensive plays, and I don't agree with that. But for the Patriots, like, it's not shortage of talent on offense. They have a good offensive line. Like, yeah, sometimes it looks like a little bit of a sieve here and there. But I think that really what it's come down to is like they bring back, Bill O'Brien, who's been there before, who's been a offensive coordinator, and a successful one after Josh McDaniels left the team before. That this guy's an experienced offensive coordinator. He's had success before. Yes, Tom Brady was there and whatever, but this guy knows how to call plays. So when you have Mac Jones, who it seems like all the pointers are pointing directly at Mac Jones at this point and saying, well, what's been changed since Bill O'Brien's been the offensive coordinator? We've added an influx of offensive talent. Yes, guys have been hampered with injuries in the receiving department, but nonetheless, this team they have the opportunity to put up points a lot of times, and they fail to do so because drives are stalled out because Mac Jones misses a receiver. He might turn the ball over this year a lot more often. And he's the common denominator. Really is what it comes down to, is Mac Jones is holding back this offense, and we're not seeing him elevate. We're not seeing him, take that extra step to become a successful starter in this league. Like the Patriots kind of hoped and envisioned him being. So just that alone, we've already noticed a decline in his play. You're hoping that he keeps playing better, and he doesn't. So at this point for the Patriots, they're at a crossroads, and they're saying, you know what? We're done. We've tried to make it work as much as we possibly could. We're done. We're going to look to a different direction. They bench him and fully expect the Patriots to go quarterback big time with their first round pick. Whether they trade up or not, they're going quarterback, and they're hoping that they get their next guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough because I think even Lamondre Stevenson had a pretty good game that game too, and that's what got to be your game plan at this point. You got to be able to effectively run the football and kind of eliminate those mistakes here too, because one, your offensive lineman isn't very good either for the Patriots. I mean, he's getting a lot of hurries too and getting a lot of pressure on him too, so that's a help. But still, some of the mistakes that he's making isn't exactly due to pressure. It's bad reads and just bad throws all out. So it's tough for them. And I know people want to try and analyze Bill Belichick since Brady's been gone. And now that Brady isn't there, how bad they've been so far. Some people have even said then it must have all been Brady, or that Belichick just can't draft. And it was just all Brady. Belichick isn't really even that good. He just recently got an extension, so he would be there, for the next couple of seasons. Robert Kraft seems like he believes in him, but now it looks like the fan base even and others in the media are even falling out of graces again with him again. They're asking the question, like, when is it time? Do they try and get rid of him? Does he move on? Does he go somewhere else? Is somebody else interested? Do you make a change there because it ain't in it anymore? It's a funny how bad things go when just, you're losing, and how much you look upon somebody that you thought it was even greatness. I've even seen a comparison between him and Andy Reid. I saw that as one of our football pages. And is look at him without Tom Brady, and then this guy with Patrick Mahomes and what they did without Patrick Mahomes. Basically, it was just saying that Andy Reid has a better career without Patrick Mahomes still, and Bill Belichick didn't. But you got to look at it overall in teams, though, too. What else did Andy Reid have before that Belichick didn't have before with the Tom Brady either? He didn't have the personnel like a T.O. He didn't have even Donovan McNabb at that point. Donovan McNabb was a good quarterback for Andy Reid at one point, too, for the Eagles.
Right.
And still, even Alex Smith was playing well for the Chiefs before even Patrick Mahomes started. So, yes, Andy Reid is very good. But then also you got to look at overall personnel, too, that he had, too, when he was coaching, too, on top of it.
Yeah, because the players play the game. Like that's
But-
it. Like, you need good coaching,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, but, the players make the plays work. So.
Right, but going back to about but Belichick not being able to draft or something like that, you've done your digging and stuff like that, and you've kind of found that Yeah, it's been pretty decent though. You know, he's
Yeah.
found his gems here and there.
You know, I understand that there's definitely like, you know, disappointing drafts that the Patriots have had, but it also is part of it. Part of the reason why is because in those drafts, though, they were limited on draft picks. They traded a lot of them to get different players, and they move around the draft, and they added more picks, and they traded some away, and so a lot of those drafts where they're kind of limited on picks altogether. They really didn't do much. They maybe they found one guy that could be a rotational player, or one guy that could be kind of like a specialized player coming in that year. But overall, like, so when Bill Belichick took over the GM hat, he added that to his resume as GM and head coach was the year 2000. Year 2000, you know, the funny thing with that is 2000 he took over the team and he hit on one pick that kind of trajected him as one of the best GMs ever is Tom Brady, you know. But let's put it into perspective here. Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick. Nobody knew if the kid could play. He played a handful of games with
it was a shot
with
in the dark.
Michigan, and get this, the starter wasn't Tom Brady. The starter was Chad Henne at the time. So Chad Henne got hurt. Tom Brady came in for a few games. I think he also played in the bowl game that year. Did very well. And so there was just that little bit of tape. The Patriots said, we got a 6th-round pick. We might as well, like, this kid hardly played. We like what we saw from him. We know that he's very smart. He doesn't look like a football player, but, man, not only is he smart, we like his accuracy and everything. Let's just roll the dice. We'll use a draft pick on him. And it really did pay off, as everybody knows now. Mm-hmm. And that was year 2000. That was the first time that Bill Belichick actually drafted, and really the only pick that's worth mentioning is Tom Brady. And that's it. Everything else is like kind of like guys that just they don't even play anymore.
No, but
and they weren't even impactful players.
Or some of them, though. I mean, have been
no,
okay,
none of these
you know?
guys.
Well, not in that draft. I'm just saying, moving forward with a couple of years, because we're not going to go through every single year.
So every year, it seemed to me like when I was digging, it's like every year he was making the final calls and what have you, but he kind of landed 1 to 2 players every single year that were very good starters for the team. Some of them ended up being Hall of Famers, but always kind of averaged about 1 to 2 players that where he just hit on. Yes, like I mentioned before, there's a couple of drafts that were very disappointing. They didn't come away with anything. They came empty-handed. But I got to bring up, there's 2 drafts in particular where I was like, man, hit it right out of the park. Like, got tons of talent. 2003 was one of them. You know, he got Ty Warren from defensive end, who actually ended up being a halfway decent. Never was elite, but halfway decent DN for them. Eugene Wilson, the defensive back. Bethel Johnson, the wide receiver. Dan Klecko filled in real nicely at D tackle in rotation. Asante Samuel was a starting corner for them. Dan Copen, starting center. Here's the kicker. Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury was drafted by the Patriots. Former coach of the Cardinals. But we all know how his career went nowhere. After that, you go to 2010. You skip over to 2010, and this one was really good. Devin McCourty, first overall. Rob Gronkowski was a 2nd-round pick at tight end. Jermaine Cunningham wasn't anything stellar, but he was also decent for them, pretty decent linebacker. Then Aaron Hernandez. I know what people are going to say. He's a murderer. But was still a phenomenal player when he was there for the team. Ted Larson, starting center again. So he nailed quite a few picks where he had multiple talent, multiple players where he picked. But overall, like when I looked at everything all together, it's like the guy still made some very good decisions. Like every draft where they actually had a 1st or 2nd rounder is usually kind of where he hit on his players, whether they be a starter or just a very impactful player overall. So I have to say that Bill Belichick, the real reason Belichick isn't successful as of late isn't because of his drafting. He's managed to find talent here and there. But overall, what it looks like is like since Tom Brady left, that offense has been putrid. That offense hasn't been anything close to relevant as for a team. So since they haven't found their guy at quarterback, that's got to be the real reason. It can't be lack of talent because the talent is there. Like everybody points to, well, they need better receivers. Well, they have decent enough receivers to make some plays happen, but it seems to be like what's missing. Well, they don't have Tom. We knew what Tom Brady was, of like one of the best quarterbacks and winningest quarterbacks in football.
Mm-hmm.
But now you have Mac Jones, who's not getting it done.
Mm-hmm.
So that, in fact, where lies the major problem. Now, they still need to upgrade their offensive line. They still need to maybe even draft a receiver for once, and I don't know how long that can start. But all in all, I think the biggest problem right now is, in fact, Mac Jones. And now that we've seen the evidence on the field, now that even Bill is questioning that position as well, so you know that there's going to be a change. They're picking high in the draft. They're going to go get their guy. And I think that I don't expect them to come back, draft a quarterback, and they're going to be aces next year. No, it's going to take time for that quarterback, whoever it is, to develop and to get this system down. This is one of the most difficult offensive systems to learn. And I think that also could be attributed to Mac Jones's lack of play, is that he's been in the system for so long, but maybe he's still not getting it because there's a lot of option routes involved in this, depending on what the defense is doing, that maybe it's throwing him off. So
perhaps maybe getting that route, when he's throwing to the end zone, he thought he was going to stop for some reason.
You never know.
He's supposed to hook, and he didn't hook, and he went.
We've even seen that with quarterbacks across the league where with the New Orleans Saints.
We can even say, I'm just saying, even with Josh Allen, because remember 2 weeks ago, he got that intentional grounding because that was an option route, and where Chris Collinsworth was even backing him up. He's like, well, this guy's an option to cut short, or he can go deep on that. And they were just miscommunication. Right. How is that, intentional grounding?
Yeah, and that's because the receiver went a different way than what Josh Allen wanted him to go. So these things happen, but now it's becoming more and more clear that the Patriots still have talent. But really what it is pointed at is now Mac Jones has to go. They need to change a quarterback, and let's see what they can do this offseason.
Mm-hmm. All right, there we go. And then finally here, too, let's talk about the New York Jets here and how cold they've gotten, to where they're on the borderline of making the playoffs, too, but still a game behind the Bills, to where they've got to win this game here against the Bills. They already did it one time, so if they could win two against the Bills here, it would be big. Get them while they're sliding right now. And that defense has done a good job. They've done their due diligence and kept them in the game. For me, two things: red zone efficiency and third down efficiency. They're both ranked worst in the league and both of those things, and 25% in third downs and 22.7% in the red zone. They've gotten there, but they just can't get it done, Joe. And do also, too, some of those things, the things they can't get third downs down, I think, possibly, the penalties. The penalties, they get there and they advance. And this is where I don't even knock Zach Wilson. Like, everybody even wants to say again where he's bringing up, he's like, well, it seems like we make a good play, and then all of a sudden it's erased by a penalty and stuff like that. Almost like he's bashing guys, like, blaming the refs, for penalty.
Right.
It's not the refs. He's blaming and telling people to take accountability. He's like, dude, I'm doing what I can, and I've watched him in this last game too. He's putting out every blood, sweat, and tear that he has for this game, and he had the arm to even plays, some that he made even, to where they really had that game, I think. They were in it and potential to win easy, and penalties just erased it all. And I think that's their main thing that's killing him right now. I don't think it really is Zach Wilson. Yes, on occasion, he'll make some of those bad throws, but really, he isn't the killer for them right now. I think it's them with the penalties, and that'll help, again, your efficiency getting in there and having a better run. down when you get to the end zone, or you get to those third downs. It's not so big of a long of a third down to try.
That's the thing too about Zach Wilson is like I don't completely blame Zach Wilson, but I noticed something in that Raider game that he played where a lot of his throws were off his back foot.
Yeah,
now he has the strength in his arm to make up for that for sure, but what that ends up doing is you don't become as accurate as you can be. So he needs to. I don't know if like the quarterback's coach, he's definitely got to notice that, and you should be correcting it. So it's like, or is it Zach Wilson, his lack of trust in the offensive line to protect him? Because for you not to step up into your throw, it might throw it off enough to where you airmail it, or it might throw your accuracy off just enough to make it an incomplete pass versus a completed pass. So as much as everybody wants to get on Zach Wilson himself, I think part of it is the coaching of him and how he's developing. Aaron Rodgers is there to help him on the sidelines. We've seen him talk to him numerous times on the sideline about different plays, about what he should do, what he shouldn't do, and trying to help. But really, I kind of got to wonder, because even when he has a pocket, he still feels the need to just throw it off his back foot. So that's one little critique that I would make. Other than that, I'm going to question Nathaniel Hackett as an offensive play caller, because there were definitely plays throughout the game where it was like you forced to run the ball in situations where it was like, that wasn't needed. That's not what you needed right now. You needed Zach Wilson to complete a short pass to get a first down. Instead, it was 3rd and 4, and you tried to run the ball, and you didn't get it. So it's like, I got to wonder about Nathaniel Hackett as a play caller for the Jets. And I've seen some questionable plays that in certain situations that kind of made me scratch my head to the point where, like, that's not what a really good play caller would do in that situation. So I think some of it is Nathaniel Hackett's fault, and I think also the continued attempt to develop Zach Wilson as a quarterback. He's got to be able to step into his throws, and until he does that, that's why you start to see some of those throws being off the target instead of on. So if they can kind of correct those in the next couple of weeks, you might see a more accurate and better Zach Wilson.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got Obi-Wan is in the house.
Oh, my God.
Obi-Wan is in
here.
the house with us tonight. He says hello there. Absolutely. Hello, Obi-Wan.
What's up, bro?
What you got out there? Drop a comment here for us. We've been talking about the AFC East and the NFC
East. The cold
East
front that we got coming in.
The cold front up here in the Northeast, or how bad these teams have been playing.
But I got to say,
especially,
for the Jets overall, like, we knew that they were going to be leaning on the defense this year. Hopefully not as much, because Rodgers was penciled to be the starter. But now that Zach Wilson is there, the defense has given him ample opportunity to put points on the board. And this offense so far still continuing to struggle time in and time out. And penalties, like you mentioned, Jim, really kind of, not only when you get a holding penalty, it just completely disrupts the rhythm, completely disrupts the drive that you had. Now, you just add a 10-yard penalty, and it's like, we were second down and 6. Now we're second down and 16. Like, big difference. So it really makes you, any offense, and this happens for any offense, where it stalls drives when those critical penalties come into play. And the Jets have done it to themselves. The offensive linemen, whether it be holding, whether it be false start, they were saying something about Mekhi Becton, I think, where he averages at least 1 false start, maybe even 2 every single game. Like, dude, come on. Yep. You know the count. You know when it's going. And little note, if you forgot the count for some strange reason, watch the ball. That's it. You know you got to block the D end, but watch the ball until it's snapped. That's what that way you don't screw it up. But that's the thing, is penalties are killing their drives. Zach Wilson, yes, he needs to be a little bit better than what he is right now. But I think that Nathaniel Hackett can help him or hurt him as they go forward.
Yeah, I can agree with that as well. Looking forward at the rest of their schedule here, Joe.
Yes, sir.
Some
What do they
winnable
got?
games. They've got the Falcons, they've got the Dolphins, and the Bills, which sucks for them. But Bills, who knows what to expect out of this one? You know, it is better that they're
Hey.
at home, but we've seen them lose at home as
Yeah.
well.
Right.
Falcons again, Texans.
Okay.
Dolphins
That'll be
again.
tough.
So the bad thing is they got the Dolphins back to back here. The Commanders, the Browns, and then the Patriots. So I could say they could probably win 3 of those games potentially.
And there's been a new report from Aaron Rodgers himself saying that he's claiming that he might be ready to go mid-December.
Yeah, and so that would be actually. Let's look at that.
But they
quick.
gotta win more games to make it worthwhile.
Right. And mid-December, so that would put you at December 17th then against the Dolphins. Imagine he debuts against the Dolphins then, Joe, in Miami.
I'm still
and then there
picking
you
Miami.
go. Can maybe do it. I mean, that would be pretty cool. But by then, they've got the Bills, the Dolphins, the Falcons, and the Texans. So potentially they could win 2 of those games, but maybe just 1. So that would probably matter. If they come out of there with 2 of them, then they're 6 and 7. It's still tough because even in this division, especially
need
with
more.
the
You
with the
need more
AFC.
wins.
The AFC, the way it is,
Yeah.
I think you do need more wins.
more
you know,
competitive.
to be
You
that
need more
wild
wins,
card
yes.
team. But it's tough. We see it. We said it before. There's a couple of these teams out there that made the playoffs the last consecutive years.
Mm-hmm.
They're really got a chance of being on the outside looking in this season
Yeah.
to where we see some of those new bloods in there. Maybe even the Texans jump right up in there. You know, and that's got to be one of the surprise team of the year. I think. You know, for me, you know, the Houston Texans and what they've been able to do. We've got Obi-Wan. He says Raiders. Bang, 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 bang.
Enough said.
There you go.
Raider Nation.
Raider Nation has come alive now.
We won against 2 teams that aren't winning teams.
Yes, we are back, baby. I love it how it turns into something like that. The narrative.
But I
like
mean,
that.
here's the thing: is
Whatever you're feeling confident. It's a new different. You know.
the only thing that I would say for Raider fans is that like the first week it was a gimme. Like
Yeah.
honestly, like you had it since Josh McDaniels was jettisoned out of Vegas, you knew that team was going to turn around, be hype, and play real hard for the interim coaches, and they did that, and they played a team that they should have beaten.
But New York, we're the gift that keeps giving. We'll just
right.
here. We'll give you a
That's
few more
right.
wins.
It's a few
There
more.
you go.
And then when you come into the the game against the Jets,
Yeah.
you faced a very, very difficult defense. You know, one of the best in the AFC for sure. And for you to even put points on the board. And actually, what was really funny stat is they had the rookie quarterback played almost better than any other, like Mahomes, Justin Herbert, all the guys that faced the Jets defense. They had the stat lines on there, and he did. He had a better game than them.
Well, kind of, yeah.
No, he did.
Well, he didn't have as many turnovers. Yes. He didn't have any turnovers, which
He had
was
one.
good.
He had
So-
1 interception, 1 touchdown. He had 150
Yeah,
something
150
yards.
something yards. Ain't nothing to be like spectacular. They did blow it
You
away.
should see- you
but-
should see
well,
the
I did look
stats
at the other
from
stat
them.
lines. I'm just saying
3
the other ones
interceptions
were
from
bad.
Mahomes,
Yeah.
3 interceptions from Herbert. Like
No,
he
I
had a
hear ya.
much better game than any of those
Right.
those
They
quarterbacks.
kept it safe. They definitely
So,
ran the ball a lot better than those previous games, though, too.
Did you see the throws too?
Some of them, well, they were wide open to Devontae
he
Adams.
had some really nice throws, really accurate throws and precise. So that's kind of the difference is when you saw the game as a totality is that's why Josh Jacobs was able to run later on in the game is because they opened it up with the passing. So for the Raiders, you got to keep it in perspective here. I know fans want to go crazy and say, oh, well, it looks like we're back. But honestly, you're going to be playing the Dolphins this week, which is a red-hot offense team. And I really don't think that you're going to be able to not only keep up with them, but I don't think you're going to have a good shot at beating them. And then right after that, you play the Chiefs. This is where you get to the meat and potatoes of your stretch here. Can you overcome those odds? They are tremendous, and I don't think they're going to be able to do it. That might actually set all of Raider Nation back in line and knock them down a peg or two with all the hype.
Obi-Wan says Jack Jones with the eyeballs.
Jack Jones,
looking at
Jack
you.
Jones, just got added. The Patriots cut him.
Yeah.
And, kid had a rough growing up and everything, and they see potential in him. He has potential, but the Patriots just didn't want to deal with, possibly any off the field issues that he's had in college before. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. Like,
Yeah.
don't get too hyped over it. Usually when a player gets released, it's not a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Joe, here we go. We're getting to the picks now, the pick segment. So play along with us. Let us know what you guys' picks are out there. Drop it in the comments. We especially appreciate that. Here it is, Joe. Here's the standings as we go. You gained another game back here last week. So it's good competition all the way through. Still
Got a long
doing
way to
just
go.
as good as some of those other analysts out there. All right, next let's move on here now to we finally seems like we have a good Thursday night game now, Joe. We'd hope so. You
Very
know, it's
competitive.
Cincinnati and Baltimore. I mean, some of these other ones have been kind of like,
Yeah.
whoa, look at them for, but they've kind of I've watched them all still, and they've been kind of tight and keeping it close. But they've been some stretches that they've been kind of like, hey, let's make something out of this game somehow. You know, what are we gonna say good about Chicago? You know, so
Did that
Cincinnati. You know,
I don't know. Was that like a scrimmage?
Yeah,
Like
I know, that's what it kind of seemed
because
like.
it didn't feel like a very good game. It was very sloppy, and
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a rough one to watch. to
Well,
be
yeah,
honest.
and then they bring Tyson Bagent on there, and they want to make something nice out of it too, and a good story. And then now all of a sudden, Justin Fields right back in. So there you go. That story was over. Cincinnati Bengals here against the Baltimore Ravens. Cincinnati again should have had that win last week.
Yeah.
Kicking themselves over that one. They had a few tight ones here.
Excuse me.
Baltimore, they're tough, especially to be at home, but sometimes just coming up too short. This is going to be a tight one, but I think the running game has got to get it done here. I might side with Baltimore on this one just because they are tougher here at home. Cincinnati, I've seen them do pretty well at defense, but if they can hold off Hendrickson a little bit, that's going to be your factor on trying to keep Lamar Jackson in the pocket. I'm going to go with Baltimore.
Yeah, Baltimore, both teams actually have some big losses that are not going to be able to play in the game. Ronnie Stanley, their left tackle for the Ravens, is not going to be available. Their starting corner, Marlon Humphrey, also not going to be available. And for the Bengals, it looks like starting defensive end opposite Hendrickson is Sam Hubbard. He's going to be out. And as well as T. Higgins will not be available in this game as well. So that being said, I was going to, whether they were both healthy or not, I was going to go with the Ravens in this one. Baltimore plays extremely tough at home. This is going to be a very close game, just like all of these division rivalries are. But I got the Ravens.
Except
in
for
this one.
Giants Cowboys. That one's never tough and never close.
Well, I mean, when both teams are on the opposite side of the
sides of
spectrum,
yeah.
that it usually makes it a pretty easy pick.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, here we go. You want to make a team shine, just play the Giants. There you go. The Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. Pittsburgh, I know, and I talked to even a fan of Pittsburgh right now. They are loving life right now. They're like, yes, all right, no Deshaun Watson right now. We get Dorian
He's
Thompson-Robinson. Yeah, here we go. This is the chance. But Cleveland, again, that defense have done some things
Yes,
and kept
they
them
do.
in games and won games here at home as well. So it's going to be tough here in the dog pound. The thing is, too, with George Pickens, he ended up took his removed himself from all of Pittsburgh Steelers social media and stuff like that. See,
Yeah.
this is the problem. Well, how do they always get the diva wide receivers here in Pittsburgh? It's kind of messed up. But
Well, I mean,
kid plays good, but he's got to
Yeah.
keep it straight, though. Because,
He's
again, he does
fine.
make some of those dumb mistakes here, with flagrant fouls, like type of things, that's unnecessary types of things where he's gotten in trouble here, where it's unsportsmanlike conduct on top of things. So he's got to keep his head straight. That's probably their only issue, I'd say, with them. But besides this, I think the defense is going to feed against this rookie quarterback. I think you can see a few different turnovers here. They're going to try and force that pressure here on against him. I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers here to take on Cleveland at home.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that the problem with George Pickens, it's very easily to fix. Throw him the ball. Like the guy is open, throw him the ball. And that's been the biggest problem for the Steelers throughout this whole season. It's almost like they just avoided to throw George Pickens the ball this whole year, except for maybe 2 games. And that's really what he's upset about, is he's not being utilized in the offense. He knows he can help this offense, and he's just not being thrown to.
Yeah,
Deontay
but
Johnson
they were
comes
able to
back
win,
healthy,
though.
and now it's almost like they're force-feeding Deontay Johnson. So definitely they need to figure some things out offensively. I don't know how much of it is the offensive coordinator dictating who he wants to throw to or whatever, but he gives you a really good chance to make this offense even better than what it is. So definitely kind of take that into account. Jalen Warren is now the new starter, everybody. Najee Harris has been taking a back seat now going forward. So that's
kind of saw that coming,
interesting.
Jalen Warren's been playing really well this season.
Well, you got to remember, too, like I think the real reason why Harris doesn't run as hard as he used to is I think he's a little beat up. He's ran the ball an awful lot since being with Pittsburgh, and now I think his body is starting to take a negative turn because of all the hits, and that's why you see Jalen Warren coming out like a gangbuster when he gets his opportunity because he's nice and fresh. So why not make the change now and let the best player play? So the Steelers with their defense, hey rookie, you're going to become very good friends with T.J. Watt really quickly, or you're going to hate him. But I like the Steelers in this one going up against a rookie quarterback. And a team that without Watson in the lineup, they have struggled to score points. They're going to rely on the Cleveland defense to do everything for them, and I think that's asking too much.
All right, next we got the Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions. Tough rivalry here. Chicago will get Justin Fields back for this one.
Right.
I don't think it's going to really matter against this one, though. Detroit playing really good. They had a really good, strong win last week, too, against a hard-fought team. You know, when the Chargers, they just went back and forth offensively.
Yeah.
There was no defense at all in any of this. It was pretty crazy. So I'm looking for Detroit to kind of ride that wave still and defend their territory here at home against the Bears.
Yeah, the other thing, too, is to keep your eye on Khalil Herbert. We know he's designated to return, and it might be this week is where he's going to get the nod and start. I think that's kind of like a big deal with Fields and him possibly returning. It's going to help them open up a few things maybe in the backfield, getting the ball out to Herbert in open space. Fields, for him to come back right now, this is his opportunity to kind of show everybody that he is the starter going forward, because we know those questions have come up all this season. Is he the guy? Is he not the guy? They have two high first round picks at the moment. Like, should they go and look for a new quarterback in the draft and move around from Fields? He's got to prove himself the rest of the season. So I expect Chicago to play better with Fields in the lineup and possibly Khalil Herbert. In Detroit playing at home, this is a game where you're expected to win as the Lions. You have to win this game. Continue your success. Keep building on what you've built so far, and I think the Lions do that. I got the Lions.
All righty. Next, we've got the Los Angeles Chargers and the Green Bay Packers. Joe, why don't you start off with this one?
Yeah, the Green Bay Packers, like Jordan Love, everybody was all super excited about Love taking over at quarterback for the Packer fans out there, and now they've come to realize, like, maybe this isn't going to work out. Like, maybe we might have to find someone else. Chargers, they're in a very different boat. They're very confusing, to be honest. Herbert hasn't been playing as good as himself in recent years past, and the Chargers defense has been lackluster at best. Going into Green Bay, like, this is anybody's game, to be completely honest. But I will say this: I like the Chargers roster better. I think that's what I'm going to end up going with. In Green Bay, it's very hard to play, but again, I think this is a team that they're hit or miss. I'm going to go with the Chargers in this one.
All right, here we go. The Chargers and the Green Bay Packers again. Chargers seem like they are, like last week was a good step forward, at least with their offense. They're actually able to go toe-to-toe with one of the best offensive teams in the NFL this season, I think. You got to say about the Detroit Lions, what they've been able to do. But again, there is no defense, if you look at it. Basically, straight up, they haven't had it. Green Bay, they have been able to play against some of the lesser teams. Chargers haven't shown that they are a better team, but I think they're at least better than Green Bay at this one. And I trust in what they've got more than what I do in Green Bay. I'm going to go with the Chargers as well in this one. All right, next up, we've got the Vegas Raiders here and the Miami Dolphins. Now,
Miami.
you guys will be tested, right? There you go. It's going to see how good Antonio Pierce can do it with the team against these guys. You know, they're riding high, feeling good about themselves, but to go into Miami and play and beat this offense, which we've seen it done before. We saw, you know, them get frustrated here last week and you know, have or last time in the not last week, week before, but have Tyreek Hill get a little frustrated and not exactly get the ball the whole time, and they can be beat. But Miami still, I think right now with the way the Bills have kind of dropped off, stuff like that, now's the time to step up, and they usually play better at home. I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins on this one. We've got Mike Tack in the house, right? What does he got to say here, Joe?
He said, I've been bouncing in and out of the show today. It looks like Denzel Perryman, 3-game suspension has been reduced to 2 games after appeal, making him available versus Denver in a few weeks. Thanks for the update, bro.
Boom.
Appreciate it.
Boom.
There you have it. They reduced it by 1 game. I don't know, like that whole situation. Sometimes the NFL kind of gets involved way too much. I know they're suspending him because he had multiple questionable hard hits. One of them, I'll give it to the NFL. One of them, you could be like, all right, that was helmet to helmet. But I think the other 2, like, they were just bone crunching hits with his shoulder pad. So, like, how you gonna, blame the guy there? So anyway, we all know that they do whatever they want. But going back to the game, Dolphins, Raiders. This is going to be a very tough test for the Vegas Raiders. Any time that the Raiders have had to go to Miami, they usually lose. Statistically, playing in Miami with this, I'm sorry, but like this Dolphins team is going to be super ready to play them. They lost against the Chiefs. They're going to be fired up to kind of pounce on the Raiders in this matchup. I'm going with the Dolphins.
Alrighty. There you go. Next up, we've got the New York Giants and the Washington Commanders. Again, this probably game will be a little closer.
Take your pick.
It was last time. It was close, and even Washington probably should have even pulled out that game. But again, Washington with what they've got, like Sam Howell, a lot better. Their personnel, Terry McLaurin on the other side too, still playing a lot better than what the Giants are. And even on top of it, if you didn't think that the Giants were just terrible because of who they have anyways, they have injuries all over the place. So again,
a lot.
Yep.
A lot of injuries.
Yeah. So, I mean, definitely Evan Neal's out. He's going to be done. Dory Jackson's out. Okariki's out. So, a lot of their main guys or whatever, even though they haven't been playing up to what they should be, not going to be even playing at this point either. And with, Tommy DeVito even there at quarterback, I mean, he's not built to be a quarterback, I think, for the NFL. Washington, I think, at home for this one.
And there's just a lot of like, bruised up bodies, on the Giants. You have Jalen Hyatt still dealing with a concussion. Kayvon Thibodeau still dealing with a concussion. Adoree Jackson dealing with a concussion. This team is just put them on the IR, all of them. But in this matchup, like, it's totally expected. Washington should win this game. The injuries to the Giants is just way too great, and Washington still plays competitive week in and week out. So I'm going with Washington.
You know what's funny? You know how Madden does the active changes and rankings of guys. They change it as they go. I'm wondering what the Giants' overall thing is on Madden right now, Madden 24. I don't play, so if you guys let me know even what they even got the whole overall team rated, I wonder if they're at the record low. If they rate them, if they're like a 48 or something like that. I mean, that'd be hilarious. I know they don't fluctuate that much, but sometimes you just think that they should, and how bad the team is, you know what I'm saying? It just made me think about it, and how poorly they're playing. Next, we got the Dallas Cowboys and the Carolina Panthers. Panthers, again, one of the top teams here to look at the NFL draft next year. Do they go quarterback even? Do they believe in Bryce Young, or they try and trot him out again next year and then maybe trade out of that position if people are really thirsty enough to get up there and, select somebody else, get some more picks to get better. Yeah. Dallas, they've riding high right now. They've been playing really well, but it also helps when you play teams like the Giants twice and things like like that and really just shellac them. I think they'll do pretty well against Carolina too as well. They haven't really showed me too much of what they can do to compete because look at the personnel they have right now. And when their big move in free agency was to go out and get Adam Thielen, who has seen better days. He's not your number one anymore. So Carolina, they're still going through their growing pains. It's going to be tough for them here. Dallas, they're still hungry. They got everything. Everybody's healthy, too, on top of the things for Dallas. So, looking really good. I like the Dallas Cowboys in this one.
Yeah, you mentioned Adam Thielen, and it's funny because, if you have him in fantasy, he's killing it.
Yeah, right.
It's his favorite target because he's just always open.
Though, right? He's like his only target, right?
But other than that, here's the thing is, plain and simple, Bryce Young, he continues to get pressured a lot more than people were worried about. They were worried about him taking hits. He takes an awful lot of hits. Small frame type of player, and I'm just kind of waiting to see when he's going to get injured at this point. Carolina Panthers haven't been able to pass protect, haven't been able to even open up rushing lanes. So I feel like the Panthers are going to struggle continually through the season, and now you're playing one of the better defenses now. With the Cowboys and their offense. The offense for the Cowboys, it seems like they're starting to figure things out. The past 3 to 4 weeks, they look much better. They're putting up a lot of points. And, yeah, they have been playing lower-end teams, but this is where they can pray and do some praying some more. Micah Parsons is going to be licking his chops to come after Bryce Young.
Right,
so
got
I got
update.
the Cowboys.
Mike Tackett says the Giants team rating in Madden 24 is an 82.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
wow.
That's what I mean. They never really put teams that low on that.
Man, huh?
But you got to remember, it's the average of all the players.
Players, I guess.
If you have some averages that they have higher than you might think, then yeah, that's what's going to end up being.
Man.
And I feel like part of the reason for that rating too is because of the higher expectations. They're not going to really drop a team's rating drastically.
Yeah.
So maybe over time. They were a
injuries
little
don't matter.
higher,
Yeah.
and now it's gradually working its way down.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Okay. All right. The Tennessee Titans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think this is going to be a close game. It's a divisional game, and Jacksonville, they're kind of rough after that loss here. They're going to take it personally here. They're going to take it out on the Tennessee Titans here. Although I think this is going to be a tough game and be very close, I'm going to give the edge, though, to the Jacksonville Jaguars to set things straight here.
yeah, this is a game where you want to beat your divisional opponents to kind of give you that little boost to win the division. So I think this is an ample opportunity for the Jaguars to kind of take this win. They're facing a rookie quarterback in Will Levis. 1 week he looked tremendous. The next week he looked subpar. So the Jacksonville Jaguars have a pretty good defense. I think they're going to give him fits. I got the Jaguars.
Yeah. Hey, did we get to 100 subscribers on YouTube yet, Joe?
No.
No? All right.
No, we didn't.
If we do, again, I will do the Will Levis challenge.
We need to, yeah.
There we go. All right, next we've got the Arizona Cardinals and the Houston Texans. And look at that, Arizona. They fight
That's right.
back. They've got Kyler Murray now looking
can
good
run.
for him. And there you go. Pull out a victory here. It's a whole new team.
Whole
with
new
Kyler
team.
Murray in there. Houston, playing really well. Going to play good at home. But you know what? This is one of those teams that kind of scares me, though. 91 subs. All right, there we go. We got to get 9 more. We need 9 more. The search for 9. And we'll do it.
We need
we'll get
9
it done,
more.
And I will do the challenge. Arizona, I guess, got a feeling about this when the Arizona kind of can pull this one out just because Houston, they've been playing really well. They've been kind of on the better hand of some of these games, but they did this last time to us. They played a kind of what you would think. You start to buy into the Kool-Aid, and then they lose to a kind of what you would think a lesser team. I think Arizona's going to play them tough in this one, kind of surprise people. But because Houston is at home again and how they're playing, I don't think Stroud's going to make as many mistakes against this Arizona defense, who isn't really known for creating turnovers. I'm going to go with the Houston Texans on this one.
Yeah, and Stroud would never be the problem because if you look his touchdown to interception ratio, it's absolutely astronomical for a rookie. Like he's got like 2 picks all year so far. So he's doing his job, and Houston as a team is definitely super impressive. For Arizona, with Kyler Murray, it's great that he's back. It's great that he gives them an extra dimension on offense with his mobility and how fast he is and quick. But what I noticed last week is he did more running than throwing. And it was a little worrisome to watch because it's funny because Josh Dobbs, when he was the quarterback of Arizona, he found receivers open. He threw the ball when necessary. Yeah, he still utilized his legs once in a while, but it seems like Kyler Murray is not trusting his arm and it is almost hesitant to throw the ball because he doesn't want to make a big mistake. And that could hinder him going forward. This could be one of those games where it does, where he's going to be more apt to run the ball and hope to make a difference that way. And I don't think that's going to be enough for them. Houston, with their ascension on defense, with their young players that they have, and offensively, I look for them to continue their success. I got Houston.
All right, next up, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the San Francisco 49ers. Joe, take this one.
Yeah, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you got Baker Mayfield, the candlestick maker there, and Tampa doing his thing, but also makes a lot of mistakes himself as the quarterback, but is surrounded by a good team, offensively, defensively, he's pretty decent, but Todd Bowles is god-awful as a head coach, and it seems like the defense is just not clicking. For Tampa, I gotta wonder right now, like, is everybody off the bandwagon for Mike Evans being one of these better receivers in the league? Because the guy's dropped he's dropped way more balls than he ever has, and in critical moments, like by himself, like
wide open.
No
But he did
contested
have a good
ball,
catch right after that,
nobody around him, and he just flat out drops it. Like, this has happened quite a few times in the same scenario. So, man, maybe he kind of, and you can't afford to do that against the San Francisco 49ers, a team that really got after the quarterback, especially last week, having new addition Chase Young, team him up with Nick Chubb, former college teammate. Oh my God. So the Niners, all the questions that they had about Brock Purdy have, like, now everyone's like, oh, shh, be quiet. We didn't say nothing bad about him. No, it's fine. It's fine. He's back. Everybody can relax. Brock Purdy, we knew he was going to return back to where he was supposed to be. This Niners team, very deadly. They're going to continue their winning ways here in San Fran.
Yeah, it's funny how instantly it goes back to now. They're like, oh, Christian McCaffrey didn't score a touchdown last week. Oh, man.
I loved his press conference. Yeah. Like, he just came out and was like, I suck. I couldn't get it done. We were down the red zone.
Else scored.
I tried 4 times and it just didn't work.
Yeah.
I just suck.
Yep. But again, Tampa and San Francisco. Tampa, again, we didn't expect a whole lot this season. But how about what they're doing again with that division, with the Saints and everything? What's going on with the Saints?
That's because nobody wants the division.
I guess. You're like, no, you take it. No, you take it. No. Yeah, it's terrible. But San Francisco, again, I think they've got a great opportunity here at home to set the ship right again, get consecutive wins together again.
Yeah.
They're really stepping out as the favorite. Next, we got the Jets and the Buffalo Bills. Circle the wagons. The Buffalo Bills are back home against the Jets that are reeling. Again, what are we going to say, though? How many turnovers would Josh Allen have this week against the Jets defense? Because Sauce is going to be all over Stephon Diggs in this one to see how much he can, how many completions they can get.
Something that I noticed about Sauce Gardner last week when he was on Devontae Adams for like half the game.
Yep.
He has a uncanny ability to hold without the referee seeing. Like he does, no, not a little bit.
He's small.
He does an amazing. No, what it is he holds the jersey tight, but he holds it tight against him.
Yep.
So as long as his arm isn't extended, they're not going to really see that.
Yep.
So he did a phenomenal. I'm commending him. He did a phenomenal job of almost like just a veteran move, even as young as he is, against one of the greatest.
Yep.
So he completely upset Devontae, was yelling at the referee saying, you got to call holding. You don't see that? I don't see that. But Sauce Gardner is a magician with that. So, like, look for him to do that again against Diggs.
See, if Diggs gets frustrated, because we've seen him blow up a few different times. Let's see him blow up here on the sidelines with this one. Buffalo Bills, they came on the losing end last time against the Jets, right in the game, right in the season opener when Aaron Rodgers went down after 4 plays. I think it's a little different this time round. I think the Jets, again, too many penalties, not being able to get offensive done because, again, when was the last time they scored? It's been a long time. It's been a drought here for the Jets to actually get into the end zone. Buffalo has and do have the ability with Josh Allen to actually throw deep and get it down there. I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills here to strike back and finally get a win.
I'm not so confident because after seeing the way they played against Denver, right? Here's the thing: is like the Bills, whenever they were expected to win, they've let us down, and then they play competitive against the Chiefs, and it's like, what the hell's going on here? Like they scored touchdowns, and then it almost looked like similar to what we saw last year from them. But then these teams that this game early on in the season were like, that's an easy win for the Bills. You know what I mean? Despite the Jets having a good defense, but it's it's so confusing this year with the Bills. What team are you going to get week to week? So with this one, with the Jets, I love the Jets defense, but I still got big question marks with Nathaniel Hackett calling plays and Zach Wilson not being able to step into the pocket, being able to throw these accurate passes. The Bills, I think they capitalize on those issues, like you mentioned. The Jets haven't been able to sustain drives, consistently because of penalties, because of the lack of accurate passes from Zach Wilson. So for the Bills, I think they're going to capitalize on this one, finally getting a W.
Yeah, and you know what? We've said that Von Miller hasn't been the same guy. This whole season.
He's not.
But who knows, against this Jets offensive line, you might see more of a Von Miller sighting in this game. Not sure, but
I don't know. I think that Jets O-line is underrated. Despite having the injuries that they've had, Max Mitchell, commend that dude. He did really well against Max Crosby when they faced him.
I've got too many home teams here, Joe. So do you.
Who cares?
But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. You never know anyways. Every week we get surprised. All right, next up, we've got the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams here. Rams are at home. Joe, what do you think about this one here in Seattle?
So for the LA Rams, Stafford was a full participant this week so far on Wednesday's practice. Everybody else seems pretty healthy. So I like what the Rams are doing. We've seen this matchup against Seattle in Seattle, where I fully expected myself that the Rams were going to go into Seattle. They were going to get a win because at that time they were kind of one of the these very difficult offenses to contend with Cooper Kupp returning, and then defensively we're playing better than what we thought they were going to. Mm-hmm. But man, the Seattle Seahawks kind of just stayed close into the game until the end and then pulled away with the win. This time around, it's in LA. No more 12th man to interfere and that sort of thing. I think maybe, possibly, and honestly, the way Geno Smith has been playing, he's playing like an average quarterback now. Mm-hmm. And if the Seattle Seahawks struggle to get the running game going with Kenneth Walker, I feel like that's going to be too much for Geno Smith to overcome. I'm going to go with the Rams in this one. It looks like they're going to get back Stafford, going to get their quarterback back, and I think the Rams might steal this one.
All right, yeah, this one's a tough one for me again because the Seattle again they're tough to get. I always go with them when they're at home. It's tougher when they're not because that really does make a difference. And like you said, even too, Geno Smith hasn't been exactly on par with everything. I think though, just to go with it and go with the home team, I might just side with the Rams here too, trying to get healthy and have that bye week, and hopefully they come off of that bye week with a victory. Next, now we've got Sunday night. And it's the Minnesota Vikings and the Denver Broncos. Now the Broncos coming off with a win.
Another win.
Kind of puts them better now, against this game with, Joshua Dobbs here playing for the Minnesota Vikings. Now, how much does that magic keep going here for Dobbs in effort here? Because despite him doing well or well enough, I think, in playing hard in Arizona, but then jumping on to the Minnesota Vikings and still limited playbook knowledge and here and there and playing well enough, still has a decent amount of turnovers here this season, though, too. And again, when we walked and talked about Josh Allen, he was up there in the top 5 here in turnovers throughout the season, too. So he hasn't been exactly stellar, not no CJ Stroud and things like that. So this is going to be a tough one here at Denver. Either way, I think they've been able to sneak out some victories here for Minnesota with Dobbs, and it's looked nice. But I don't think they've got enough to go into Denver and pull out a victory here. I'm going to side with Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos here for another home team.
I got to remind everybody is that we are 91 subs total on YouTube. And if we get to 100 subs, my man, the Jimmy, the man, the myth, the legend, has
with my
told
new
us,
haircut.
Yeah, he got a new haircut and everything. He's more streamlined now.
I am.
He's more efficient. But not to mention, like, if we get to 100 subs on YouTube, he is going to do the Will Levis challenge. And you might ask, what the hell is the Will Levis challenge? Well, It's real simple. Will Levis, I don't know, maybe he was a bet, whatever. He drank coffee. He drank mayonnaise in his coffee one time and then ate a banana peel. So my boy said, if we get to 100 subs, I'm counting on you know-it-alls out there. Reach out to whoever you have to. Make them get over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button and lock it in. And before the end of this season, my guy is going to eat a banana peel and drink coffee.
I'm going to eat the banana with the peel and everything. So it has to be the whole thing, dude.
The whole thing?
That's going to be nuts. Yeah. Yeah. Like eat it like you're just going to.
I think you can do that. That's easy.
I think I probably can.
I mean,
I'm not like a texture guy and stuff like that, so it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
So I think I'll get through that. I
Now,
just
do you
don't
have
know
to-
about the coffee though.
Do you have to eat the stem? That to me would be the hardest
That's what I
part.
wondered too, because he must get to the
Did he
stem
ha-
and then stop.
We have to look at the past video of him doing it.
I know he goes the other end first, so he definitely doesn't go stem end into his mouth. So
Man,
yeah,
I don't know.
I just saw him
all
eat
this
it
talk
like a
about
sandwich.
stems and mouths and shit.
Yeah, right.
It's so fucking weird.
All right, so what do you got? I think you went through it. Are you going Denver or are you going to Minnesota in this
No,
one?
I didn't go through anything. I just told everybody about the subscription
Yeah,
challenge.
you're feeling it. I get it.
So, this game right here, Minnesota, Denver. I'm sorry, Denver hasn't proven to me yet. Like they've beat teams that they shouldn't have beaten, and they surprised some people. But I also like the Bills. They're kind of on the ropes. We still haven't seen a Bills team yet, really. So I'm going to go with Minnesota and Josh Dobbs, honestly. Like, I like the fact that the Vikings defense is playing much better. Justin Jefferson is returning. That gives him another weapon. So I like Minnesota better than Denver in this one. I got Minnesota.
All right. Next, we've got the Philadelphia Eagles here. Monday Night Football against Kansas City Chiefs. It's the Super Bowl
In
replay
Kansas City.
here in Kansas City here. This is what everybody's kind of looking for now, just to kind of, I think, see
This is one of those
if
games.
KC is for real, kind of again, because they've kind of been on their lonesome, I think, in the AFC a little bit, because, nobody has been able to keep it, together as long as they had. Yes, they had a couple of losses here, but nobody's been really close to them, I think, in some of these games. Philadelphia, they've had a hard-fought road, I think, throughout this whole thing, playing some tough teams. Again, losing to the teams like the Jets, though. You know what I mean? So it's been up and down for both these teams, and now we're getting past the halfway point, getting later in the season. This is like the perfect time, I think, to get this type of game here, so we can see is this a preview of this next up and coming Super Bowl again? So this is exciting for me to watch here. For me though, looking at it, man, this could be tough, but I think I'm gonna go with Philadelphia just because I've gone too many home teams already.
That's the logic you're going with.
That's my logic I'm going with. Or else I would say Kansas City because they do play better at home, but Kansas City's defense has been playing better for them, but they're not as good as like Patrick Mahomes kind of stuff. Our defense, I think, is best in the NFL.
Oh my God, so ridiculous.
Chill the F out right now. So I think Philadelphia, they've got too many weapons here and too many players on defense too. I'm going for the Eagles here on this one. I think that tush push is going to show through on this one, and they're going to tush push to the end zone for the victory.
It's called the brotherly shove, if you ask the Eagles fans.
Yeah, because I think they did trademark that one now.
Yes.
Right? They went and filed the trademark. There you go. What do you think about Jason Kelsey being sexiest athlete alive, or named that? How about that?
I think it's deserved.
Yeah.
Too often the offensive
big
linemen kind of get overlooked,
Yep. Yep.
or D linemen for that matter, just the big guys, in general.
Well,
so
good
good
for
for him, But in this game, it's not going to be about looks. It's going to be about X's and O's. So this is kind of like one of the games that I was anticipating to see all year long. A rematch of the Super Bowl. How exciting can that be? Like, this is two teams that are kind of a little bit different than the year ago. You know, whether it be personnel wise or just overall how they've been playing. But Philly struggling on offense still. You know, I kind of wonder, like, now when they played the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, it was where they were just like, their offense was hitting on all cylinders. Like, now we're seeing a different Eagles offense. The defense for them is still tenacious, still gets after you. And then for Kansas City, they play a little bit different of an offensive game now. They don't have the guys that are just beating everybody down the field and throwing it up. Now it's like they're a little bit more articulate in what they attack in different parts of the field with different personnel. And then their defense is good, you know, in my opinion, but I don't think it's one of the better defenses. Like, it's still decent, but I feel like it gets camouflaged with Kansas City's offensive prowess. So in this matchup right here, it's going to be a very difficult one. I think either team can easily win this one, but I have to go with Philly just because I like the defense better, and I think because of how unpredictable the Chiefs' offense is with Andy Reid, I think the Eagles do the same kind of thing from time to time where they do some very unique plays to kind of keep sustained drives. So I got the Eagles edging out Kansas City.
All right, there we go. We've got our picks in this week. It's tough competition.
Lock it in.
Excited to see what happens and how badly we do here and how surprised we are Sunday and Monday night. But, hey, tomorrow night's a really good game. Excited to watch that one. Hopefully it goes down to the wire. But, you know.
I hope both teams come out limping.
Yeah, there you go, right? Yeah. I mean, what does this mean for Cincinnati's future here moving forward for them? So it's big. They need to come out here with a win. All right, but that's it for us this time. We will see you guys next time. Thank you so much.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday night for more Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.